وطبعا لديه العديد من المنشورات والأبحاث العلمية المحكمة، وأيضا له صولات وجولات في مؤتمرات محلية وعربية ودولية. بروفيسور قشمر، سنستمع إليك، فالكلام لك، تفضل.
شكرا جزيلا حضرة الزميلة العزيزة الدكتورة ليلى شمس الدين. الشكر لمركز الأبحاث في معهد العلوم الاجتماعية وحضرة الرئيس البروفيسور حسين أبو رضا، والصديقة العزيزة الدكتورة لور أبي خليل، الأمين العام للتجمع الأكاديمي لدعم فلسطين، على هذا اللقاء التضامني الأكاديمي الدولي الذي من خلاله يمكن أن يكون باستطاعتنا أن نكون مؤثرين سواء على المستوى المحلي أم على المستوى الدولي، والإضاءة على بعض المسائل التي يفترض على النخب الأكاديمية أن تنشرها في صفوف المجتمع ولا سيما في الجامعات. أيضا أتوجه بالتحية إلى الأكاديميين والطلاب الأمريكيين والأوروبيين في مختلف أنحاء العالم على هذا الحراك الهام والأساسي الذي يتناول النخب الأساسية في المجتمع، لا سيما في الجامعات التي يمكن اعتبارها بأنها هي التي تشكل النخب القيادة في المستقبل. وهذا ما يجعلنا من القائلين بأن التغير القادم هو حتمي على مستوى الحكومات الغربية ولا سيما في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، لأن الجامعات النخبوية التي انطلق فيها هذا الحراك والأساتذة الموجودين فيها دون أدنى شك هم من يستلمون أو سيستلمون السلطة خلال السنوات المقبلة. وهذا ما يدفعنا للقول بأن الحكومات المقبلة في الغرب ستكون بيد هؤلاء الذين باتوا يعلمون جيدا ما هي القضية الفلسطينية وما هي مظلومية الشعب الفلسطيني وما هي حجم الإبادة الجماعية التي تعصف بالشعب الفلسطيني ويرتكبها الاحتلال الصهيوني على الأراضي الفلسطينية سواء في غزة أو في الضفة أو حتى في القدس المحتلة. وبالتالي هذا ما يدفعنا للقول أيضا بأننا أمام مستقبل لمصلحة القضية الفلسطينية ولإقامة الدولة الفلسطينية، وإقامة الدولة الفلسطينية من النهر إلى البحر كما ينادي الطلاب الأمريكيون، وهذا كان شعارا مميزا لهم. أيضا بالنسبة لنزع الشرعية عن الكيان الصهيوني، هذا الكيان الذي يعتبر الكيان الوحيد في الأمم المتحدة الذي دخل وتم إضفاء الصفة الشرعية والدولية عليه في الأمم المتحدة بشروط، وهي الالتزام بالقرارات الدولية لا سيما منها 181 و 194. فكان مشروطا دخوله إلى الأمم المتحدة بالالتزام بهذه القرارات، مما يعني بأن وجوده أصلا هو موضع شك باعتباره لم يلتزم بهذه القرارات. والآن أيضا هذه المجازر التي يرتكبها العدو الصهيوني تؤشر بشكل واضح إلى ضرورة إعادة طرح مسألة شرعية الكيان الصهيوني، لا سيما في ظل الملاحقات الدولية أمام المحاكم الدولية سواء في محكمة العدل الدولية أو المحكمة الجنائية الدولية. وما يمكن أن يمارس الآن أو ما يمارس الآن من ضغوط من قبل سواء أعضاء مجلس الشيوخ في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية أو أي شخص آخر أو الإدارة الأمريكية عموما بحق المدعي العام للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية، وهو أصلا المتأخر عن القيام بواجبته، ليس جديدا أن يكون موقف الولايات المتحدة منها كذلك، لأن قبل 4 أعوام تقريبا بالعام 2021 و2020 تم توجيه أو تم فرض عقوبات على المدعية العامة السابقة للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية بنسودا ومديرة أمانة السر في المحكمة، مما يعني كان هناك عقوبات كبرى قد تدفعهم إلى الخشية أو الخوف من زيارة الولايات المتحدة بعد نيتهم فتح تحقيق بحق الجنود الأمريكيين الذين ارتكبوا مجازر في أفغانستان وغيرها. فهذه الضغوطات التي تمارس الآن على المحكمة الجنائية الدولية طبعا لن تثمر طويلا، وتجعلنا نقول بأن هذه الضغوطات يفترض بأن يعيها طلاب العالم وأكاديميو العالم بأن هناك محكمة معنية بإحقاق هذا الحق وكشف الحقائق تتأخر عن القيام بواجباتها. وكل عمل في هذا الاتجاه من شأنه أن يصب في مسألة نزع الشرعية عن الكيان في ظل قطع عدة دول لعلاقاتها الدبلوماسية مع الكيان، وفي ظل قطع العلاقات بعض الدول لعلاقاتها التجارية أيضا مع الكيان، وحالة العزلة التي بات يعيشها على المستوى الشعبي بشكل عام في العالم وعلى مستوى بعض الحكومات العالمية. فإذا نحن أمام مرحلة جديدة يؤسس لها كما أسست لها المقاومة في داخل فلسطين، أيضا يؤسس لها طلاب العالم وأكاديميو العالم الذين نحييهم على هذه النشاطات. وربما نقول بأن جهودنا نحن الآن سواء في لبنان أو في المنطقة العربية قد تكون يمكن أن تكون مؤثرة ويمكن أن لا تؤثر، ولكن يجب أن تدركوا جيدا بأن جهودكم في الولايات المتحدة وفي أوروبا حتما ستؤثر على مستقبل القضية الفلسطينية وعلى إعطاء الحق للشعب الفلسطيني. لذلك لا يمكن الاستخفاف في هذه الحركة العالمية، لا سيما على مستوى دور الطلاب. هؤلاء هم صناع المستقبل، هؤلاء هم بناة المرحلة المقبلة، هؤلاء هم من سيكونون موجودين في الحكومات وفي الأمم المتحدة وفي مختلف المناطق أو مختلف المؤسسات الدولية سواء السياسية أو الاقتصادية أو المالية. فإذا نحن اليوم نؤكد بأن هذا الدور الذي يقومون به لا يقل أهمية عن ما تقوم به المقاومة على الأرض، وندرك جيدا أهمية دور المقاومة في هذا الإطار، لا سيما وأن إن كان ميزان العدالة الدولية مختلا في هذه المرحلة لمصلحة العدو الصهيوني، فهذا الحراك من شأنه أن يعدل في هذا الميزان. كما أننا ندرك جيدا بأن العدالة الدولية لا يمكن أن تستقيم في ظل نظام دولي غير متوازن وتهيمن عليه الولايات المتحدة. لذلك لابد من إعادة التوازن إلى هذا النظام، وما يمكن أن يعيد التوازن لهذا النظام هو بالتحديد هذه المقاومة التي من شأنها أن تخلق توازنات جديدة ليس على مستوى المنطقة فحسب بل أيضا على مستوى العالم وعلى مستوى الأقاليم المختلفة. فعلا غزة تغير في موازين العدالة الدولية وفي موازين القانون الدولي وفي موازين النظام الدولي بشكل عام، وباتت تقود الحياة السياسية في مختلف الدول الغربية، وحتى باتت ناخبا أول في العديد من الدول ولا سيما في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. فعلا قلنا منذ اليوم الأول بأن غزة هي عنوان المرحلة المقبلة، وهي تشرف الأمة العربية والأمة الإسلامية وتشرف أحرار العالم في هذا الأداء الذي تقوم به. كل الشكر لكم على هذه الاستضافة وعلى هذا العنوان المتميز لدعم التضامن الأكاديمي الدولي. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا جزيلا لك الأستاذ الدكتور حسان قشمر على الكلمة القيمة، والتي يمكن أيضا أن نضع بعض ما أردت فيها ضمن توصيات هذا اليوم. ننتقل الآن إلى بشرى. بشرى هي طالبة في جامعة لندن. قالت خلال إحدى التظاهرات المنددة بالعدوان الصهيوني على شعبنا وأرضنا في فلسطين، قالت: مطالبنا هي في الأساس مطالبة كلية لندن الجامعية بإنهاء تواطؤها فيما نعتبره إبادة جماعية في غزة، والمطالبة والكلام لبشرى بمقاطعة أكاديمية، لأن تل أبيب مثل العديد من الجامعات الإسرائيلية الأخرى جزء لا يتجزأ من المؤسسة العسكرية الإسرائيلية. انتهى الاقتباس. على الرغم من كل المواجهات ومحاولات القمع العنيفة لتحركات الطلاب والأساتذة في الجامعات، لا زالت هذه الثورة، إذا أردنا أن نقول، أو هذه الانتفاضات مستمرة. سنقرأ ما بين السطور منتقلين الآن إلى الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية مع الجلسة التي ستديرها الأستاذة الدكتورة لبنى طربي، وهي أستاذة الأنثروبولوجيا الثقافية في معهد العلوم الاجتماعية في الجامعة اللبنانية، وهي أيضا أستاذة في مرحلتي البكالوريوس والدراسات العليا، بالإضافة إلى أنها تشغل منصب منسقة مختبر الأنثروبولوجيا، أنا عضو فيه، في مركز أبحاث معهد العلوم الاجتماعية في الجامعة اللبنانية. هي رئيسة لجنة البحث العلمي للعلوم الاجتماعية في المعهد العالي للدكتوراه وفي الأدب والعلوم الإنسانية والاجتماعية، كما تشارك في الإشراف على أطروحات الدكتوراه، وبالتأكيد لديها العديد من الدراسات والأبحاث والكتب المنشورة بمجال البحث العلمي الذي تتولاه. وسأترك الكلام لك بروفيسور لبنى طربي، تفضل.
شكرا دكتورة ليلى. سأنتقل إلى التحدث باللغة الإنجليزية. I would like to welcome everybody to this session that hosts academics from the United States of America, a nation that has for a long time promoted itself as standing for the principles of justice, freedom, and human rights. A narrative that seems to be right now in crisis, with the double standard approach adopted by decision makers, especially in the case of Palestine and with regards to the suffering of Palestinian people. Academics stand at the forefront of the struggle against such practices, while themselves suffering from the same double standard, where these academics who challenge the dominant discourse face discrimination within their own universities and academic circles. We start this session with an intervention by Dr. Kevin McKay. Dr. Kevin is a social science professor at Mohawk College. He researches, writes, and teaches on the subject of civilization collapse, political transformation, geopolitics, and global systematic risk. Dr. Kevin, the floor is yours, and thank you for joining us. Dr. Kevin, can you hear us?
Yeah. Apologies. I was having some. Thank you. I was having some video trouble. Apologies. It is my great pleasure and honor to be here on this call with these esteemed colleagues from around the world. And I want to bring greetings from my institution, Mohawk College in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and also from the Canadian Association of University Teachers. I'm a delegate to that organization. I want to share some of the solidarity actions that have been taking place. Canadian academics have been in ways a little bit slow to organize around this horrendous situation that's unfolding in Palestine, where the International Court of Justice has found credible evidence that genocide is in fact taking place before our very eyes. And yet organizing is now happening. So there was a recent meeting of the Canadian Association of University Teachers. So this represents faculty from across the country. And they passed a resolution in support of an immediate ceasefire, in support of academic staff and students in Gaza. The resolution also endorsed a boycott of all arms shipments to Israel. And so this is a resolution that is long overdue, but it is good to see that this organizing is now happening among faculty. Of course, our students have been leading the charge, as they have been in so many other countries. There are now encampments spreading across the country, and the students are, really inspiring us all in terms of their activism and their commitment to justice and freedom for the people of Palestine. These encampments are being supported by faculty as well, which again is amazing to see. And so this is a task that Canadian faculty are starting to take very, very seriously. Again, like I said, I wish we were a little bit faster in terms of joining the international community in roundly condemning the genocide, but we are now there, and I'm really happy to see that. The last thing I want to mention is there is an initiative coming together. It's under the name of Canadian Academics for a Just Foreign Policy. And this will be in the form of an open letter that is going out across the country, seeking to unite faculty members and students on campuses across Canada, to unite them in advocacy and activism around the issue of Palestine. The final thing I will say is that we have also, along with academics in several other countries, experienced the same threats to freedom of speech and academic freedom in relation to speaking out about the situation in Palestine. This is an ongoing struggle, but again, from my experience in working on this issue for a couple of decades now, I have never seen the kind of shift in discourse and the removal of a blanket of fear and silence that has stifled debate on Palestine for years in Canada. This is starting to change. This is starting to shift. And it's very, very exciting. And I think that what we understand here is we need to maintain and increase our solidarity with the people in Palestine, the people in Lebanon, with the good citizens really around the world that are on the right side of this issue. We will keep organizing, and we will keep building our movements in solidarity with academics in the region. And so, again, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak and to be a part of this event.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your intervention. We will move now to an intervention from Dr. Saif Dana. Dr. Saif, are you with us? I think he is not. Then allow us to move on to an intervention by Dr. Atif Khubrsi. Dr. Atif, it's a pleasure to see you, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Dr. Atif is a professor emeritus of economics at McMaster University. He previously worked with the United States Industrial Organization as Senior Development Officer and as a team leader of several UNIDO missions. In 2006, he was appointed Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economics and Social Commission for Western Asia. Dr. Atif has more than his academic list of publications is so long, more than 200 articles and a series of books. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Atif. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lubda, for this generous introduction. Delighted, honored to be with you. And I bring with me too the greetings from the student encampment at McMaster University. Our students have joined the international movement in support of justice and in support of the Palestinian struggle and in condemnation of the incredible genocidal activities and the plans and actions of the Israeli genocidal army. It is with great pleasure that I also bring to you the greetings from all over Canada. So it's not just only McMaster, it's UBC, University of British Columbia, it's Alberta University, it's Calgary, Saskatchewan, McGill, University of Toronto. There isn't a single university in Canada that has not joined the movement, and the students are adamant. They will not budge, they will not yield until the universities will divest, stop their investments. I mean, universities have a huge resources from their pension funds and endowment funds, and a number of these funds have invested heavily and in areas directly supporting the genocidal army and the genocidal regime. and if not directly, indirectly, by investing in banks and other institutions that have supported the regime. They are also calling and saying that we will not and should not maintain normal relationship with institutions, even academic institutions in Israel, as long as these remain wedded, remain in support, remain close to the IDF. Actually, it's not the Israeli Defense Force, it's the Israeli occupation force that they feel and they know now very clearly and very blatantly the incredible barbarity with which they have dealt with the Palestinians. You now know there is one thing that has come, that Gaza has helped. It unmasked the world. Today, people know and they trust their eyes, not the television. They see in their own eyes the barbarity, the destruction. 80% of the infrastructure in Gaza has been destroyed. Homes, universities, schools, they're killing teachers, they're killing aid workers. There is no longer any doubt about what this regime represents and what this army represents, and their actions are definitely and blatantly trying to completely empty Gaza and destroy the Palestinians, destroy any chance for the Palestinians to represent themselves, to organize themselves, their inalienable right to rule themselves, to freely choose what they like their future to be and what their aspirations are for a better economy, for a better living, for a more just world, a more equal world, a more inclusive world. The Gaza actions have also unmasked the Western duplicity, the Western hypocrisy, in a way that it has never been the case. In a way they know now that there is a very strong wedge between what the government say and what the people in the West want. I mean, now, as been mentioned in Arabic before me, we have some hope. The young people, the people of the future, people who are going to be in government, people who will be in leadership positions, have spoken and have spoken very clearly and very bluntly that the status quo is not acceptable, that ignoring the Palestinian aspirations, that violating the Palestinian human rights, basic human rights, are no longer matters that we will remain quiet and accept and roll over as if we did not exist. Today, the students, and not only the students, and I'm sure my colleague, Dr. Don, would bring to you that labor has really been with us on the forefront of this struggle. Canadian labor has not accepted, will not accept in large measure what is taking place, have joined their brothers and sisters in the encampments on campuses, expressing their total support and their willingness to stand steadfast with them until justice is brought back and the Palestinians are able to recover their freedom, their equality, and their liberty and ability to choose. We are living very promising times, despite all the destruction, despite all the sacrifices, despite all the killings, the massacres of children, women, and people that have, civilian people that have not really had any situation where they were involved in any of the things that the Israelis really talking about. And what if these people have joined, actually, Merschmeyer, a very distinguished professor, have likened this to a jailbreak. To a great extent, what we have here is the largest open-air prison where people have been incarcerated, where people have been denied food and medicine, water. I mean, what would you call trying to starve people? What would you call trying to basically allow and promote and peddle positions that would lead to the destruction of every semblance of normal life for people and denying them food, water, medication. This is a definite collective punishment that is totally unaccepted under international law, international humanitarian law, under the Human Rights Convention, under Geneva Convention. What we have here is a country that has totally is considered, I mean, even the International Court of Justice, which is almost a conservative type of organization, has found that there are grounds now to implicate Israel in genocide, in violation of the Genocide Convention. We are now committed in academia and in the labor movement and in many areas and in many institutions and for many groups that the status quo is unacceptable, it will not be tolerated, that we will continue to struggle and we will continue to stand put where we are, and we will remain committed, and we remain in our encampments until universities divest from any investment or relationship with the Israeli genocidal regime, the ethnic cleansing that they are perpetrating on the Palestinians, and that this time we are committed not only just to divest things, we want an immediate ceasefire, we want an immediate Israeli pullback from where they came, and that this struggle is not going to stop until the Palestinians retain and achieve their liberation and their freedom and their equality. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atif. I will just give a very brief overview in Arabic for the sake of all the audience in Arabic of what have been covered. With regards to the بالنسبة للمداخلة الأولى تم مشاركتنا ببعض التجارب التي قدمت في الجامعات في كندا والتي كان لها أثر إيجابي من حيث تمرير قانون يسعى إلى المطالبة بالوقف الفوري لإطلاق النار ومقاطعة كل مصادر التمويل للمساعدات التي تقدم على الصعيد العسكري للجيش الإسرائيلي، مع الإشارة إلى أن الطلاب كانوا في قيادة هذه التغيرات وشكلوا مصدر إلهام للجميع بما يتمتعوا به من التزام بالقضية، مع الإشارة إلى أن إدارات الجامعة انضمت لاحقا للطلاب في كندا وبالرغم من التأخر في ذلك إلا أنه كان شيئا إيجابيا جدا. وقد أشار إلى أن هناك مشروع قانون جديد، مبادرة جديدة تسعى إلى توحيد الطلاب والهيئات التعليمية في جميع المقاطعات في كندا لدعم فلسطين، وإلى أن هناك تغير واضح في النقاشات وفي المقاربات لموضوع الفلسطيني، مما أدى إلى إزالة الغشاء عن أنظر العديد عن أعين العديد من الناس، والأمر الذي دفعهم إلى الانضمام في محور التضامن مع فلسطين. أما دكتور عاطف قبرسي فقد أشار إلى كيف أن ما ترتكبه القوات العسكرية الإسرائيلية هي عمليات إبادة، وقدم تحية من كندا، من جميع الجامعات في كندا التي انضمت إلى الحراك بهذا الاتجاه، مشيرا إلى أن الطلاب هم مصرين على الاستمرار بدعمهم لفلسطين إلى حين قطع جميع الإمدادات والتمويل التي تدعم الإبادات الجماعية التي تحصل، وأيضا إلى قطع جميع العلاقات الأكاديمية مع الجامعات في إسرائيل. كما أشار إلى أن الواقع الذي أدى إلى التغير الذي يحصل هو قدرة الناس على النظر بأم عينهم ورؤيتهم لما ما يقوم به الجيش الإسرائيلي من اعتداءات، والتي تهدف إلى إفراغ غزة والقضاء على أي فرصة للفلسطينيين بخيارهم الحر وبإمكانية الاستمرار في المستقبل. طبعا أنا ألخص الكثير من ما قاله، إلا أنه أشار إلى أن هذا يشكل ناحية إيجابية، خاصة مع العلم أن مع الاعتراف بأن الطلاب الشباب هم القادة المستقبل والذين سيشكلون تغييرا ما. كون القتل للأبرياء والأطفال والنساء لا يمكن تبريره، كما حرمان الناس من الحق الوصول إلى الطعام والمياه لا يمكن توصيفه سوى بأنه جرائم حرب وإبادة جماعية، بحيث تقوم دولة ما بتجاهل جميع القوانين وجميع المواثيق الدولية، وأن الأكاديميين سيستمرون بالوقف والدعم، أخذ المواقف الداعمة لكي تحقق فلسطين وتصل إلى ما تبتغيه من حرية وتحرر. Thank you all so much. I'll give the floor now to Dr. Leila, and we will continue with the rest of our sessions.
Thank you, Dr. Lubna. مهما كان القمع الذي نواجهه فهو ليس سوى جزء صغير من المعاناة التي يواجهها الشعب في فلسطين. هذا الكلام ليس لي، بل هو بعض من تعليق الطلاب على ما يحصل من قمع لتحركاتهم ضد جرائم الإبادة الجماعية على غزة. وقالت الإذاعة الوطنية الأسترالية أن الطلاب الأستراليين طالبوا أيضاً جامعاتهم بسحب استثماراتهم من إسرائيل والكشف عن العلاقات مع شركات تصنيع الأسلحة التي تتعامل مع إسرائيل وقطعها. إذن هي تحركات طلابية عالمية استنفرت الكيان الصهيوني ورعاته حول العالم أجمع، فهل ستقمع؟ وكيف يمكننا قراءتها بشكل علمي ودقيق؟ هذا ربما ما سوف ستناقشه هذه الجلسة مع الدكتور علي فضل الله ومع الباحثين المتابعين والمشاركين في هذه الجلسة. دكتور علي فضل الله هو أستاذ العلوم السياسية والقانون الدولي في الجامعة اللبنانية وفي جامعات في لبنان وخارج لبنان. هو باحث ومؤلف لكتب في اللغتين العربية والإنجليزية في مجال تخصصه، وهو أيضا عضو مؤسس في التجمع الأكاديمي في لبنان لدعم فلسطين. دكتور علي، تفضل، الكلام لك.
تفضلين الضيفين. يلا يلا. Okay. Then, dear all, I'm grateful to have this opportunity to talk. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to talk on behalf of the Academic Assembly for the Support of Palestine. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this session. We are excited to have you today to have you at today's conference. We will have the opportunity for us to share our solidarity with the Palestinian cause. Let's take a moment to introduce our guest speakers. We have first Dr. Noor Qadiri. Dr. Noor is a professor of strategic management at the University of Ottawa, the former president of the Canadian Arab Federation, and ran for mayor of Ottawa in 2022. Also, we have Dr. Morgan O'Neill. Dr. Morgan O'Neill is an assistant professor in the Department of Physics. She held postdoctoral fellowship at the Weizmann Institute of Science at the University of Chicago, currently assistant professorship at Stanford University in the Department of Earth System Science. Also, we are delighted to have Dr. Don McLean. Dr. McLean is a professor Emeritus at McMaster University in the field of labor studies and political science at the Faculty of Social Sciences, McMaster University. Dear all, we are all again delighted to have you at this session. Let's start with Dr. Morgan O'Neill. The floor is yours, Dr. Morgan.
Wonderful. Can you see and hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I don't.
You can see her? Or I'm checking over that.
Oh, wait, sorry.
But no, it's yeah.
Okay.
So I can see you right now. You can start, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I'll just speak for a few minutes. I want to thank Dr. Abi Khalil for the invitation to speak on this panel. I'm currently an assistant professor in the Department of Physics at the University of Toronto, and I'm going to primarily speak about an amazing effort that I've gotten involved in that I would love to see more participation in from this group and from all of your colleagues. So I'll tell you a little bit about PSSAR. This is the Palestinian Students and Scholars at Risk initiative. And I want to stress that, I apologize, I'm sick, so my voice sounds really strange. I want to stress that I'm just a volunteer, and I came to it well after it was established, I think in January 2024. And so I'm not a member of the board, I don't speak for the board, but I'm quite involved right now, and I really love it. This initiative, which is now a formal Canadian nonprofit, is acting as a matchmaking service for students and scholars, that includes postdocs and professors, trapped in Gaza or those who have made it to Egypt, to try to get them funded PhD and master's programs around the world. Primarily, the focus, of course, is on Canada. This is Canadian faculty-led, and I'm actually most proud that it's Palestinian Canadian faculty-led, and that's one of the reasons why I'm giving this so much of my time. I really trust the vision and the experience and the cultural and historical grounding of the leadership. So certainly we only have access to Canadian politicians. We need much more access, but we've actually been matching these students at universities all around the world. So the way it works is students in Gaza or scholars will submit a sort of application through our website, which is pssar.ca, and they'll upload whatever they have of their CV, transcripts, recommendation letters, and then a voice note, a little recording of a few minutes of what these students are interested in doing, what their experience is, what kind of research they've done. And then teams of primarily graduate students work with them over WhatsApp, of course, because virtually no one has a working laptop in Gaza. So, you know, we meet them where they're at to improve these CVs and voice notes. And then once a package is ready to sort of promote these students, one or two student profiles are sent to professors who have also signed up with their interest. And so I was originally approached in this way. I had signed up with my interest. I received the applicant files of two really remarkable young women in physics, and I couldn't take them myself at U of T because their research was very far from my own type of research, but I helped match them to a major public university in the United States. And then PSSAR stays involved, and another team of graduate students helps these applicants formally apply to that university. Once that university has indicated that they're willing to be flexible about deadlines and English test scores. And then this team of peer mentors, we call them, or graduate students, also starts working on things like visa applications and paying for things like the formal application to the university. And so I'm involved in a few different stages of these students that we're trying to get out of Gaza into different universities around the world. Of course, I want to stress that PSSAR does not want to participate in the ethnic cleansing and displacement of Gaza. This is horrifying, and of course, we're all against it. But right now, these scholars need a place to study so that they can be future Palestinian professors. And I hope that Canadian academics will play a a major supporting role under the leadership of Palestinians in helping resurrect the beautiful and world-class universities in Gaza. And then I like to think that efforts like this could go toward helping rebuild the professorate so that these universities can, teach all of the future generations of Palestinian children. So this is, I think, the most important and inspiring work I can possibly do during this horrifying genocide. And I encourage you all to sign up if you think in any field, not just science, in any field at all, if you think that you might be able to take a student and give them funding and, kind of a safe refuge for a few years, please sign up with us. We have hundreds of applicants who we have not matched yet. So I would really appreciate if you give us a look, and I'll put the link in the chat. One more quick thing I want to say regarding the student encampment here at U of T is that it's really big, it's really wonderful, and I'm very proud that there's a strong faculty presence. And I know personally, actually, that the faculty, I think 100 of us are actively working on supporting the logistics of the camp. I think probably almost $10,000 of personal faculty money has already been spent to make sure that meals are covered at the camp so those students can stay there. They want to stay there, hold the land, and continue to make their demands of the administration. And so I'm just really thrilled to be part of a campus community that has clear eyes about the horrors being done in Gaza. And of course, the West Bank. I mean, universities in the West Bank have also suffered for decades. It's not as horrifying and apocalyptic as Gaza, but we all know that those universities need our support as well. So I'm happy to take questions if there's a chance, or offline answer anything about PSSAR. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Dr. Morgan, your effort is appreciated. Hopefully the feedback will be sufficient. Thank you for attending and sharing with us your project and thoughts, and looking forward for more cooperation with all who are enthusiasts to support the ride. And now we turn to Dr. Don McLean. Dr. McLean, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me and see me?
Yeah, you
yes,
can start, Dr.
Yes.
Don.
Yes. You can hear me and see me?
Hear you, yeah. We can hear you. We can start.
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this very significant solidarity action with the Palestinian people. It is a great honor for me, and I'm very much moved by the comments that have already been made. Thank you to the organizers and to all the participants. The genocide underway in Gaza is an international outrage, and everyone of conscience must condemn the Israeli aggression. This is not new. There have been earlier outrageous assaults on the people of Gaza and on the Palestinian people in the West Bank and other parts of that area. But this particular action has drawn global attention. And it is made clear that what we're looking at here is an Israeli attempt effectively to eliminate the Palestinian problem by killing as many Palestinians as possible and by making Gaza unlivable, as well as trying to drive the remaining Palestinians out of the West Bank. At the very heart of this outrage, and I live in Canada, and at the heart of this outrage is the Western imperial powers, including Canada, but particularly the United States, And the crimes that the Israelis are also the crimes of the Western imperial countries in the United States at the head of them. We who live in the heart of the imperialist beast have a special responsibility to stand with the Palestinian peoples. And that has been taken up by thousands of students at universities across Canada and the United States. The courage of these students, and not just in North America, but elsewhere, is outstanding. They put their careers at risk. They put their lives on hold. They put themselves in direct danger of police attacks and abuse of various sorts imposed by their academic institutions in many cases. And so in standing with Palestine, they are very brave, but they are also standing in solidarity, not only with Palestine, but with the global South. The viciousness of the combined Israeli and American assaults has exposed and is dramatically weakening the American imperial empire and hastening its unraveling. And this is a very important part of what we are seeing unfold. We are seeing evidence of it here in Canada, where the Zionist domination of the media, the Zionist domination of the governments and officials is unraveling as well. And we are seeing their influence being exposed as false and as an influence for literally for genocide. The crimes being committed in Gaza and the West Bank against the Palestinians are also directed against and are the planned fate for all other nations and peoples who seek independence, justice, and peace, especially in the global South. And we need to be very clear about this, that the what we're seeing unfolding in Gaza and in the West Bank is exactly what the imperial powers, the United States in particular, are threatening to impose anywhere else where anyone stands up for justice and peace. And I think we're also seeing the self-destruction of the Zionist project and the American empire, and they're inextricably linked, and they're evidence for all to see. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak here today, and I look forward to hearing from the other participants.
Joining us and sharing your standing with the cause of Palestine, and also we will look forward for your solidarity and efforts, and for the others as well. Thank you very much. And we now we'll listen to Dr. Noor Kadri. Dr. Noor, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone in Lebanon. Good morning in Canada. I want to thank the Assembly for organizing this timely conference in solidarity with Palestine, and what you have been doing over the years is remarkable and commendable, and for that we want to raise big hats for you. It's always tough to speak after all those distinguished guests and panelists, especially my friends from Canada here, Dr. Morgan O'Neill and Dr. McLean and Dr. Kubersy. But Dr. Kubersy taught me some tricks on how not to feel like the last husband of Elizabeth Taylor. So I'm going to use those tricks now. In fact, Canada is a very special country when it comes to the situation in the Middle East, and specifically the case of Palestine. We're the next neighbor to the United States, and you all know where the United States stands on all the international positions. If it weren't for the United States, last week we would have, for instance, a Palestinian state declared at the UN last week. And Canada is in that tough position where they're highly dependent on the United States on a lot of things. Our economies are interchanged. Our politics are so much interchanged. And we happen to be the smaller kid on the block that will follow suit in most of the situations. So it's a tough act for us who are players in the support of the Palestinian case to bend the arms of our government, to chase our politicians and tell them that our positions need to be more progressive. Not to paint a gloomy picture, we have had a lot of successes. And luckily, in Canada, we have a minority government now, and this minority government is led by the Liberal Party, but the balance of power is held by the New Democrats. And the New Democratic Party has had now, and it's through the efforts of a lot of community initiatives that we were able to get and pass within the party conventions, big resolutions in support of Palestine. And now we're taking those into Parliament. And a few weeks ago, we had the success of a resolution that set an embargo on sending arms to Israel, that had recognized a lot of things on the Palestinian case. And it got the support of 204 parliamentarians against 117. So the vote was so immense, was so successful. And there is a turning tide on the politics in Canada. The other important thing is politicians started to read the movements that have been happening. Yes, the encampments in the United States are making a major dent in the Israeli propaganda along the whole way. Canadian universities followed suit, and we have been doing extremely well. Like, I can speak about the case at the University of Ottawa. We are in the 11th day of the encampment. It is growing significantly. A lot of support from professors and community is coming big. There was a letter about divestment that has been signed by 150 faculty members at the university this past week. So we can tell you that things are moving in the right direction. And there is lots of coordination on all the encampments in Canada, and every island of success that we get in one university, it's going to be something that we can build on. And I'm happy to share with you that yesterday at the University of British Columbia, the university agreed to meet with the encampment organizers and to address the demands of the encampment. And once this starts, it goes well. We had those experiences before within the labor movement in Canada on BDS, for instance. The Ontario Federation of Labor, that was led by our good friend Sid Ryan, that represented more than 1 million workers, was the first union to support the BDS movement with 98% support at their convention. And then we started to see a lot of labor movements follow on that. And we hope to see a lot of universities, like at the universities, especially like professors and unions, we have pensions here. We have big funds, and those are being invested in many places around the world. And all that will tell you, saying that now, as people who have vested interest, we cannot allow these monies to be invested in Israel or in other organizations that support that regime that is genocidal. So the picture is being painted in a good way on Canadian soil. The initiatives are great. I'm not going to add much. Our colleague Morgan O'Neill spoke about PSSAR, the Palestinian Students and Scholars at Risk. This was an initiative that we started to talk about in January, and it went very, very, very fast. And now we have a full structure of academics and graduate students that are joining. And I'm sure you all know, if you know any professors in Canada, just talk to them, give them that website. and tell them to join us. We have other groups that are pushing toward fundraising in order to fund those students, and this is a recipe for success. So we would like other professors in the United States or in Europe, other European countries. You can learn from that experience. You can start. You can communicate with us, and we're happy to share with you the good, the bad, and the ugly stuff. Sometimes, unfortunately, we still have issues. For instance, with visas for those students coming in Gaza. And this afternoon, we're meeting with staff from the Minister of Immigration in order to make these things much easier and easier. So I'm not going to add much. All that I'm going to tell you that we are operating on all cylinders in Canada, on the political scene, on the community scene, on the labor scene, on the encampments and universities, and on the support side through pssar.ca. We're going to continue the fight, and we know at the end that justice is going to prevail and the Palestinians will be free. Thank you.
Yeah, this has been a distinguished session, and we have enjoyed listening to the talks, supporting the solidarity with Palestine. It's good for all scholars to know about the collective efforts to push forward, achieving more justice in the world. Hopefully, we have the opportunity to be together on other occasions. Thank you, Dr. Dawn McLean and Dr. Morgan O'Neill and Dr. Noor Qadiri for participating in this conference. And I will leave the floor to Dr. Layla Shamsuddin. Thank you very much.
شكرا جزيلا دكتور علي فضل الله. أود القول أننا في يوم طويل معكم وبرفقتكم حاولنا ونحاول أن نرصد من خلاله تدفق الأحداث وتدحرجها اللافت، وهو أمر لا شك يحتاج إلى مزيد من الفهم والبحث والتحليل، وهو ما حاولنا أن نقدمه اليوم خلال هذا اللقاء التضامن الأكاديمي العالمي من أجل فلسطين لتكون حرة. سأترك الكلام الآن إلى الصديق والزميل العزيز الذي أود أن أقدم له أمام الجميع كل الشكر والتقدير على جهوده الكبيرة والدائمة، والتي لولاها لما تمكنا من أن نكون مع أي منكم ولا أن ننجز هذا اليوم، لأنه يتحمل أعباء كثيرة على كل المستويات، والحقيقة أنها بدافع تطوعي منه وبدون مقابل. هو الأستاذ الدكتور شوقي عطية، هو منسق مختبر ديموغرافيا في مركز أبحاث معهد العلوم الاجتماعية في الجامعة اللبنانية، أستاذ وباحث في معهد العلوم الاجتماعية، له العديد من المؤلفات وطبعا الأوراق البحثية، كان آخرها ديموغرافيا، الكتاب بعنوان ديموغرافيا المشرق. سأكتفي بهذا القدر من التعريف والشكر لأن الكلام كثير، ولكن سأترك الكلام له الآن لينقل لنا رسالة دكتور مايكل بير الذي للأسف لم يتمكن من الالتحاق بنا على المنصة، وإنما أرسل لنا الكلمة، وبعدها ستكون الكلمة الختامية معه. بروفيسور شوقي عطية، تفضل، ما كنت تعطيه لنا والآن لك.
شكرا دكتورة ليلى. أيها الحضور الكريم، قبل أن نشكر لكم بقاءكم معنا كل هذه المدة، أعرف بضيفنا الذي لم يتمكن من الحضور، دكتور مايكل بير. A writer and an activist deeply involved in Palestinian solidarity activism in the United States.
He serves as the director of Nonviolence International and published academic research on the topic of nonviolence. Dr. Beer sent us this following message. We want the United States government to move away from a front policy of dominance and superiority to a policy of global collective security and democracy and international law. Nonviolent civic mobilization is critical to achieving a sustainable and just world. We cannot surmount the four existential threats to humanity, which are nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and ecological collapse, unless we use this collective framework. Our governments are not meeting the challenges of our times, and we, civil society, have to step up and lead. I apologize. I was unable to join you and learn from you today. The challenges of Lebanon was very much in our hearts. Thank you, Dr. Beer. Thank you for your intervention. في ختام جلستنا لليوم سأتحدث باللغتين العربية أولا والإنجليزية ثانيا. أود أن أشكر جميع من رافقنا من ضيوف أعزاء وطلاب وأساتذة زملاء في هذا اليوم الأكاديمي لدعم الحراك الأكاديمي في العالم لدعم فلسطين. فهو صراع الأجيال المتجلي في اعتراض الشباب على الكهول. هي دورة الحياة المعتادة في الصراع بين الحداثة والتقليد، إلا أنه وبين جيل وجيل يشتد ليغير معادلات فيبعد جيل الكهول والشيوخ ليحل محلهم جيل الشباب. إلا أن الشباب سيشيخ يوما، ومن كان حداثويا سيصبح في نظر من يأتي بعده تقليديا ولا بد من تغييره. هكذا حصل عام 1968 في الغرب، وهكذا حصل في نهاية الثمانينات وهذه المرة في الشرق، وها هو يحصل اليوم ومن جديد في الغرب. لقد حان الوقت لكي يغير الشباب الذي كسر قيد الإعلام التقليدي وغسل العقول من باراديغمات مجتمعه، وهذا ما يرعب حكام الغرب وما يرعب على وجه الخصوص مجرمي الحرب الذين يقودون أبشع حروب الإبادة على أرض الأجداد، على كل الشعوب المتمسكة بحقها بأرض الآباء والأجداد. فالجيل المتظاهر اليوم رافض لما يحصل والمستقبل له، وهو إن أثر اليوم في نتائج الانتخابات في دوله أو لم يؤثر لا بد إلا أن يصل إلى الحكم غدا أو بعده. أود أن أشير إلى أن جامعة ساكرامنتو العامة أي ساكرامنتو ستيت يونيفرسيتي في كاليفورنيا قد كانت أول جامعة تمكنت من فرض الابتعاد عن الاستثمارات الأمريكية، وهو ما يطالب به تماما الطلاب، وهذا قد حصل منذ حوالي 20 ساعة. أود أن أشير إلى وأن أترككم مع فكرة في اللغة العربية قبل أن أترككم معها باللغة الإنجليزية، إلى أنه ارتقى منذ الانتفاضة الأولى إلى اليوم ما يزيد عن 7200 شهيد. هؤلاء الشهداء لو بقيوا على قيد الحياة اليوم لكانوا أصبحوا عام 2050، وهذه حسابات ديموغرافية، كانوا أصبحوا 267 ألف شخص. وهنا لا يمكن لأحد أن يقول لي أنهم يقتلون الأطفال عبثا أو عن طريق الصدفة. Dear all, I would like to thank you for staying with us during this entire long journey in the support of Palestine. A generational struggle in all its glory. This is the circle of life, the struggle between modernity and tradition. But every once in a while, the struggle becomes a bit more violent and turns into a struggle between the youth and the elderly. This is what happened in 1968, especially in the West. This is what happened in the late 80s, especially in the East. And this is what is happening right now all across the world. It's time for the youth who broke the chains of traditional media to break the chains of traditional imperialist paradigms. This is the nightmare of the Western leaders. And most importantly, all of the war criminals who are leading one of the ugliest genocides in modern history. I would like to leave you with two thoughts. The first one being that the State University of Sacramento in California divested yesterday and agreed to the demands of the students who are protesting there, becoming the first university to succumb to the demands of its students. And the second idea that I would like to leave you with is, from the first Intifada in the late 80s until now, there has been more than 47,000 martyrs. Those martyrs, if they were to stay alive, they would become 267,000 persons alive in the year 2050. This is why I do not accept, I cannot imagine that the Israelis are killing innocent people, innocent children, women, elderly, by mistake or by accident. Thank you for staying with us. Long live Palestine, free.